Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. Let's go to the Lakers. So I went and watched them in person, and I like to go watch. I wanted to go watch Jalen Brunson in person. I wanted to see Jason Tatum in person. So I look at the schedule. I wanted to see. I thought it maybe the last time I saw the Warriors, Clay, Steph, and Draymond play. Although he's going to earn some money somewhere. He had a really good April, and it really hit me watching them. Is that when the Lakers made that Russell Westbrook move and had to get out of it? You can't get everything when you're desperate. You can get something. So they got size, but they didn't get any shot creators. Austin Reaves was already there. LeBron was already there. And I tend to give coaches a little pass on their rotation, much like a defensive coach in the NFL. Sometimes Darvin Ham is a little tone deaf offensively. Like when you don't have LeBron and Austin both on the floor, there's not a lot of shot creation. You just need AD to be great. And so the game I went to, he did that. He had AD didn't play. Austin and LeBron at one point were off the floor, and it's like, bro, D'Lo kind of waits for you to get him a shot. This roster has no shot creators. And I do think that will be the Lakers' undoing, is that LeBron at this age, you can't ask him to play 40 minutes of shot creation. And this team is long. They're good. It's a good basketball team. I mean, like the first half against the Pelicans, they were all playoff focused. Like they were all playing playoff basketball. You're like, okay, they are taking the Pelicans it was just a physical mismatch. They made New Orleans work for every shot. They were getting great passing, great ball movement. But when I do look at the Lakers, I think to myself, you can't ask a guy in year 21 to be the shot creator, the playmaker. And to me, it won't be Darvin Ham. It's a roster reality, isn't it?
So the roster realities are the main genesis of my take surrounding the Lakers as a playoff threat. And I've felt the exact same about the Lakers as a playoff threat basically all season. Their position in the standings is Darvin Ham's fault. And to put it simply, they were 3-10 in the 13 games after the in-season tournament. Over that span, Darvin Ham was playing Cam Reddish and Taurean Prince 59.2 minutes per game. And when they signed Taurean Prince, I was excited. I like Taurean Prince. I think he's a solid rotational wing. He's like their 8th best player. And Darvin Ham was playing him massive minutes and starting him every single game over Rui Hachimura, who's a better basketball player. Cam Reddish, there was never, ever a case for him to be used the way he was. And in a league where everyone's talented and the margins are pretty small, and the Lakers were kind of a little relaxed post winning the in-season tournament, they toasted some games off in that span when they probably shouldn't have, because Darvin Ham was kind of galaxy braining the rotation. But you're right. The limitations of the Lakers are the limitations of the Lakers. That was a standings related issue. They should not have to go to New Orleans on Tuesday and win a game, but they do because of that stretch. As far as the playoff setting goes, like the main issue is when they run into specific types of matchups, specifically teams that bring real perimeter strength and length. And by the way, the Pelicans are one of these teams. They can handle D'Lo. They can handle Austin. Just LeBron is too big for all of those dudes. And when we talked about it earlier, you ball pressure LeBron, he can handle that because he's strong. And then the Pelicans are a turnover forcing, aggressive, like forward attacking defense. And so if you can get the ball behind it with high level playmaking, you can pick them apart. The Lakers won the first half points in the paint battle 50-12 in that game. That goes to show you just how crazy LeBron and AD shutting down Zion. And then on the other end of the floor, LeBron picking apart their aggressive attacking defense just allowed the Lakers to kind of pick them apart. But those specific types of matchups, those lankier wings, they can give D'Lo and Austin problems. And then that puts too much on LeBron, because the Lakers are actually a very good offense. They're 3rd in offense since January 7th. That's a 46-game sample size. They're a very good offense, but it's very much everyone's involved. They get a ton of assists. It's lots of ball movement.
They had a ton of assists the other night.
It's so bizarre watching them compared to last year, because like there's a good chance they face Denver in the first round again, and we're going to pick Denver. But they could not be more different. Last year, they were a 4-out, 1-in, brute force, spread pick and roll, post-up offense that was very defensively minded. Now they're actually this super high powered spread 5-out offense and they can't defend. So it's like a completely different Laker team that we're running into, but they have the same problem. They keep the Nuggets close and then the Nuggets out execute them at the end of the game. So they're more or less in the same situation, but they are a different team than they were last year.
So a team that, first round Denver is going to take on Phoenix, and Phoenix, neither team has a ton of depth, but Phoenix has been my disappointment in the league. I thought they were a team that would, in kind of a passive regular season league, I thought they'd just shoot their way to a lot of wins. And you'd have two of the three stars. Beal was hurt early in the season, much more than I knew he would be, but they have played together. There is some duplication in the offense, but it's years ago. I've said this before, years ago, when people were saying KD's better than LeBron. This is when he was with the Warriors winning MVPs. And I said, you got to add context to this. Like, he's playing, it's just go hit buckets. They don't ask him to lead, talk. He defended pretty well. He's always been a willing defender, but I'm like, they're not asking him to do anything. He didn't have to talk after the game, before the game. He didn't have to be the soul of the team. He doesn't have to be the bouncer. He didn't have to do anything. Just get, and that's what KD does, by the way. He's a shot maker. He's great all time. And I felt this with Kawhi. If you ask him to be a foundational piece, a leader, the barker in the clubhouse. I mean, I go to the Warriors-Laker game, and Draymond, and they're up by 12 late, is barking at players. LeBron's a coach. And you watch KD, and this is the difference. And I've said this with Kawhi. When the culture is set, and you add somebody like Kawhi and KD, and they just get buckets and stops, they're all-time players. But when you have to build something around it, and because Booker clearly is not overly verbal, he's a scorer. That's okay. He's a scorer. And I look at this Phoenix situation, and I'm like, they would be better with LeBron. This is just a guy to get a basket, and this team needs more than that. They've got guys, Beal and Booker, that can get a basket. They need this reservoir of LeBron's sort of vision, leadership, this foundational personality. And so I look at Phoenix and I think, yeah, I just saw points. But all the good teams in this league, there's a soul. Curry's a soul piece. Jokic is. You don't even have to be overly verbal. But I look at Phoenix and I say, it'd be easy for me to just say, hey, KD's been great. But this is sort of, if you're a top 8 player in the world, this is your team. And I don't care if Booker was here before. Booker wasn't winning for years and years before they brought Chris Paul in. He wasn't winning. They were a bad team. So I do look at Phoenix and say, some of this is just on KD. At times in your career, you have to be more than get a bucket guy, don't you?
Yes, and that has been the primary issue for the Suns this year. I wouldn't necessarily put it just on KD, but like KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, all three of them, they are guys that, like, when they're engaged defensively, can be deeply impactful defenders. Even Devin Booker, like Devin Booker is not the most physically gifted guard in the league, but like, when I watch Suns film and they're good on defense, it's usually because Booker is engaged and he's talking and he's like the communicator of the defense, like calling coverages out and that sort of thing. Kevin Durant, for the record, I'm much higher on the Suns than most people. I had them fifth, I think, in my contender rankings coming into this postseason run. And I specifically love them for the Denver matchup. I think that Nurkic is a big body that can make things tougher on Jokic than some other people. Another key part of the Suns is they have the best, in my opinion, the best spread drive and kick type of team in the league. Grayson Allen on that weak side has been the best three-point shooter in the league. He's great at driving closeouts. Because of the 3-star build, you constantly have Bradley Beal off the ball or KD off the ball or Devin Booker off the ball attacking with an advantage. And so they can really spread teams out. And so teams like Denver that are like load up defensive teams that always defend pick and roll 3-on-2 and kind of load up on the strong side, that skip pass is open and Phoenix can pick you apart there, which is a big part of how Phoenix has had success against Denver this year. But to your point, they've been inconsistent there, where it's like, I watch them today and they kick Minnesota's ass physically from the opening tip. I watch them against Denver and they kick Denver's ass physically from the opening tip. And then I watched them against the Clippers the other night and they get punched in the mouth and they wilt. And it's like, so that's been very much their identities. They're like probably the widest range between floor and ceiling of all the teams that I've seen this year. Because like when you watch them on the right night, they look like a bona fide top tier championship contender. And then you watch them on another night and you're like, these guys aren't made of the right stuff. And so like, honestly, like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But I thought they demonstrated a lot of grit coming back and winning in Sacramento the other night, and then going into Minnesota with a chance to get out of the play-in and killing them the way that they did, and in the process sparing them from a Denver matchup as well. Like I thought that was a big time win for them. I'm generally higher on Phoenix than most people, but if there is a limitation, it's just they don't quite have a ton of like physical alpha dog in them, if that makes sense.
Right.